All right, welcome back to the next lesson. We're going to be looking at lesson 5 in the unit 3 book, and that starts on page 23. And hopefully by the time you're looking at this or watching, you have already taken the lesson 4 quiz and have done the additional practice on page 22 for that quiz. So let's look at page 23, talking about lesson 5. All right, so here we are. We're going to start with the important stuff. Remember, the first lesson will always be the green pages, and then the second part of the lesson will be the stuff to make you think, which is white, and the red, pink, tough stuff will be on the second lesson. Okay, so the important stuff here. We're still talking about fractions and how to write those fractions. Today we're going to talk about equivalent fractions. So fractions that are represented by different numbers, but they are the exact same in the end. So label the marks on these lines in a consistent way according to the equally spaced intervals. Okay, so we have 0 to 1, and I have 2 spaces, and I want the number right between. So if you have 2 spaces and you want the first one, that would be 1 out of 2 spaces. Okay, here we have 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. So that tells me this bottom fraction will be 4. Okay, here we have the first space. Remember, this number counts this space before it. So that's the first space, so 1/4. This is 2/4, which is equivalent to 1/2. This is 3/4 because it's the third space. This would be, and I'm going to mark these out, this would be 0/2 in this case, and this would be 2/2. So that's equivalent to 1. This would be 0/4, which is equivalent to 0. This would be 4/4. You've got 4 spaces. This one counts the fourth, but 4/4 is the same as 1. All right, here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 spaces. So this is 0/8, 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8. Okay, so 4/8, 2/4, and 1/2. Those are all the same measurement. Okay, all the same fraction. 1/4 and 2/8 are the same. So then we have 5/8, 6/8. That's the same. 7/8, and then this would be 8/8, which is the same as 1. Okay. So name 2 fractions above that are equivalent to 1/2. We've already done that. So you got 2/4 and 4/8. Okay, those are equivalent. Notice all you do is, if you have 4/8, you can divide both of those numbers by 2. So 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. And then we could divide those by 2 again. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Circle the fractions equivalent to 1/2. Okay, so we said 4/8 was. Notice that 8 is double this number. 2 is double this number. So if it's doubled, it's the same as 1/2. Okay, this number on top is doubled the number on the bottom, but that would be 2/1 instead. And I want 1/2. So 5 times 2 is 10, so that works. 3 times 2 is 6, so that's not it. 6 times 2 is 12, that one works. 4 times 2 is 8, no. 3 times 2 is 6, that one works. 3 times 2 is 6, no. 1 times 2 is 2, that's not it. 5 times 2 is 10, no. 7 times 2 is 14. So all of those fractions there are equivalent to 1/2. They're the exact same, meaning I can reduce them to 1/2. Discuss and write what you think. How can you recognize a fraction that is equivalent to a half? Okay, we talked about some. So one is the denominator is twice the numerator. Nope. Okay, so the bottom number is twice the top number. Okay, here, instead of separate number lines, this picture shows number lines stacked as bars. Okay, so you have bars instead. So this is a half and a half. You got a bar that is a third, third, third. The lines equivalent to a half are highlighted. Circle the vertical lines equivalent to 1/4. Okay, so we got it. Fourth is quarters. So we're going to come here to quarters, and this would be 1/4. So all of these right here would be equivalent to 1/4. Use the picture to name a fraction that is equivalent to 1/4. Okay, so there's no dotted line here, so we're not going to use that one. But there's a dotted line here on 12ths. So that's 1, 2, 3 over 12. 3 over 12 is the same as 1/4. If you divide by 3, 3 divided by 3 is 1, 12 divided by 3 is 4. So we put divide by 3. Use the picture to name two fractions that are equivalent to 2/3. Okay, so we're going to go to thirds. Here's 1/3, 2/3 is right here. Okay, so I want this fraction, which is 6th. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. And then this one down here is 12s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 over 12. All of those are 2/3. Now look here. If I take 8 divided by 2, I get 4. And 12 divided by 2 is 6. If I take those divided by 2, 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. So they are all the same. These are just scaled up. All right, turn the page over to 24. This kind of picture can be used to determine the order of fractions. Use the picture to help you complete each statement with a greater than, less than, or equal to. Okay, so now I got to figure out which fractions are bigger than the others. Okay, so remember, here's 1 and here's 0. If it's further this way, it's larger. Okay, so let's look at 1/3. So thirds, 1/3 is right here, and 1/4. Here's a fourth. So here's a third, 1/3 and 1/4. Which one is further to the right, a third or a fourth? A third is further to the right, so it will be bigger, so you will have a greater than symbol. Okay, 1/6, so this is 1/6, and 5/6, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5/6. 1/6 and 5/6, which one is further to the right? That would be your 5 over 6. 5 over 6, so you're going to have a less than sign. 1/6 is less than 5/6. That should be an easy one. The numbers on the bottom are the same, so you go with the bigger top number. Okay, this one's hard because the bottom numbers are different. So you have 3 over 4, so 3/4, 3/4, and here's fifths, and you have 3/5. So 1, 2, 3/5. Okay, so here's 3/4 and 3/5. 3/4 is further to the right, So it is bigger, so you have greater than. A sixth and a fourth. Okay? A sixth and a fourth. So here's a fourth, and here's a sixth. So a fourth and a sixth. Which one's further to the right? A fourth is, so a fourth is bigger. Okay. Now, you might be thinking, well, 6 is bigger than 4 and the numbers on top are the same. Well, that's true, but because these numbers are on bottom, that tells us there's more groups, okay? 6 is divided up more times than the 4 is. So the 4 actually has less groups, or the groups are bigger. 2/3, so 1/3, 2/3, and 4/6. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 2/3 and 4/6, those are actually equal. 2 divided by 2, or sorry, 4 divided by 2 is 2, 6 divided by 2 is 3. They're the exact same thing, they're equivalent. 4/5, so there's 3, 4/5, and 3/4, so right here. So 4/5 is bigger, so that gets greater than. 2/3 and 3/5. So here's 3/5, 2/3. 2/3 is further to the right, so it is bigger, so you get a greater than. 1/3 and 2/6. So 1/6, 2/6. Notice they're right on top of each other here, so they are equivalent. List 5 fractions that are between a half and 1. So here's halves. Here's a half right here. A half and 1. So I need 5 fractions that are between there. Okay, so that's why I kind of wrote them out. So we've got 3/5. We've got 2/3. I'm not going to write 5/6 because it's the same as 2/3. You got 3/4, 4/5, and 5/6. And these are in order from least to greatest. Okay. Now you could have put 4/6, but I didn't because it was the same as 2/3. List 5 fractions that are between a fourth, so here's a fourth, and 3/4. So kind of this window right here. Okay, so you got 1/3, you got a half, you got 3/5, and 2/3. And we need one more. What's this one right here? This one wasn't labeled. That's a fifth. That's 2/5. Okay, these aren't in order now, but this is 2/5. All right. Write a dialogue that uses pictures to explain why 2/4 equals 3/6. With others, practice your dialogue enough to present it well. Okay, so there's a lot of different ways you can look at this. Okay, in the previous unit, we used some pictures here of squares to look at the dialogue. So I'm going to kind of draw that as a picture here. So in the end, I need 6 groups, okay, or 6 small boxes. So this is a whole, this is 1. Okay, if I split it here, here, and here, that makes 6. Okay, and I want 3 of those filled out. Okay, so I want 3 of those filled out. Okay. Now, in the next one, instead of 6, I'm going to have 4. So my outside shape is the exact same, okay? But in this case, I'm going to split it here and then here. So now I only have 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to fill in 2 of those. So this was 3 out of 6. This will be 2 out of 4. Now, notice here, in both of them, I shaded the exact same area. In both of them, I shaded a half of it. So 3 over 6 and 2 over 4 is a half. Another way you could represent it is if I have this number line, 0 to 1, and I put a bar here. And if I split that bar into 4 sections, 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 over 4 is right here. Okay, and then I draw another bar. And I split it into 6. 3 over 6 is right here. And those are in the exact same place, which is right here, which is a half. Okay, so 2 different ways that we can recognize that problem. All right, that ends this lesson. The next lesson you'll view will go over page 25, but you could probably go ahead and get started on page 26, the additional problems. You have enough information right now to get quite a few of those done, so you can start working ahead on those. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I will see you in the next lesson.